But then the New York Knicks looked in a world of trouble.
Bogdanovich rattles another one home.
They were down 15. They looked to be nosediving.
Oh, long-range three from Trae Young.
But then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. Julius Randle made a few shots.
Here's Randle for three. He got it.
Reggie Bullock started making shots.
To tie with a three, Bullock will oblige. Oh, it's down.
Tom Thibodeau decided to start Derrick Rose in the second half.
Rose recovers and scores.
And guess what? Because of that, we here. We here. New York Knicks handling their business. Game 2, series tied. 1-1. We coming to the ATL. The ATL. Give it to me. Give it to me. We here. We here. We here.
I don't even know what that was like. Is that like a 21st birthday, a bachelor party? I mean, the level of excitement.
It's so pathetic.
You feel it's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing. He was in his element. Did you see how happy he was?
But,
it was like the best day of his life, surrounded by New York. Look at him.
By the way, just by getting lucky to salvage a split at home in the first round against the lower seed.
It is so,
What's up, Molly?
It is so sad.
What's up, Molly?
And he was
What's
tweeting.
going on, Max?
Because the first half he was a nervous wreck. You know that.
Right,
How y'all doing?
Are you trying to talk? I can't hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Unfortunately, yes, I can. How are you
can hear
feeling
me.
this
What's going
morning,
on, Molly?
Stephen A?
Good morning to the lovely Molly. Max, what's up, my brother? How you doing, my man? How you doing? How you doing?
in a good mood.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's unreal.
Listen, just for the record,
What?
normally on a perfect day like today, okay? I mean, with us being in New York City, South Street, Seaport, and the whole bit, that's where I'd normally be, but the CEO of Walt Disney is in the house in Bristol, Connecticut, and the man wanted to see me, so that's why I'm here. But I wanted y'all to know.
Let me tell you something.
Excuse me.
I thought
New
you were in the
York's
doghouse
building.
after that dog
New York's
fight.
in the building.
I didn't know the big boss is called.
Even they was supposed to be here, and then about around halftime, he's like, "Let me be in Bristol tomorrow."
You know what? You right, Max. You right, Max. You right. I was very nervous.
From the Twitterverse.
I was very nervous.
I see you. All right,
Yes,
let's go. You guys know what it was. It was a dogfight, that's for sure. But the Knicks take game 2. The series is now split and it shifts to Atlanta on Friday. Don't worry, Stephen A will be in Atlanta too with all the Georgia peaches. Vintage Derrick Rose and Julius Randle on the boards. Talk to me, young fella.
Did you ever doubt this team tonight or thus far in this series, or did you just feel it was a matter of time to find your footing?
Never doubted. Obviously, throughout the game, there's going to be frustrations, but, who we are as a team, we're never going to doubt whether we can win a game or not. A lot of guys came in the locker room at half and said we've been in this position before, and we have. So it was just up to us to change our intensity level, went to another level, and we were able to pull out the win.
All right. I mean, I don't want to damper this celebratory mood after an opening round win, but Stephen A., was it a lucky one for your New York Knickerbockers?
Luck! I mean, please. What luck? Is the New York Knicks standing up? It was New York City standing up. It was the crowd that had descended upon Madison Square Garden, 16,000 strong, rabid, hyped, ready to roll, that propelled this New York Knicks team to a victory in Game 2. Now, first half, it didn't look that way. I even tweeted how nervous I was. Julius Randle couldn't buy a basket to save his life. Now, it was a beautiful, beautiful scene to open the game. I mean, when he was there to receive the Most Improved NBA Player of the Year award, and his beautiful, beautiful son was there with them, along with Leon Rose, along with William Wesley, Worldwide West, along with Scott Perry. It was a beautiful, beautiful scene. It touched all of our hearts. But then Julius Randle came out there and couldn't buy a damn basket for the first half. And we were very, very nervous because Trae Young, that little miniature stud, was putting on an absolute show. No question about it in that second quarter. But then the second half arrived. Tom Thibodeau went into that locker room. He said, "Get it together. It's about the 6 inches in front of your face." I'm using a football example from Any Given Sunday, but you know what the hell I'm trying to say. He was trying to motivate them to galvanize the troop. So what happened? All of a sudden, Julius Randle starts hitting shots. All of of a sudden, Reggie Bullock showed up, and he started draining shots. And that man, Derrick Rose, I'm almost getting tears in my eyes just thinking about Derrick Rose. I'm so proud of that man right now, the way that he's balling, the way that he is leading. Tom Thibodeau making the move to bench Elfrid Payton finally and start Derrick Rose in the second half. Obi Toppin ignited the crowd. Everybody, a collective effort, and that's what you saw. And then you saw the defense clamp down, the way a Tom Thibodeau defense can clamp down, and then suddenly the Atlanta Hawks couldn't buy a basket. Trae Young was on lockdown. Collins was on lockdown. Hunter was on lockdown. They couldn't do anything. And as a result, the New York Knicks have now tied this series 1-1 because the fans, led by Spike Lee and the crew, obviously galvanized the troops. You should have been in there, Molly and Max. You should have been inside that arena. It was rocking. We ain't heard the Garden like that in decades. It was that special, man.
I should have been to upgrade it.
I had my hair standing up. It was that special, okay? But now we move forward to the ATL. We coming down to ATL. New York's in the building. State Farm Arena. We coming. We here. Watch. Game 3. We coming.
Of course the Knicks got lucky. And all Knicks fans know you got lucky last night, Stephen A. First of all, before I even get into that, this I feel like you, when you talk about Dallas Cowboys fans, it's nauseating. And I was once one of you. Before I finally said I had it with Jim Dolan. Let me tell you what you're celebrating right now. You know why it hasn't been that loud in decades? Because when was the last time the Knicks won a single playoff game in 8 years?
8 years. I agree.
Yo, all that just happened is the Knicks got lucky to escape home court with a split to a lower seed. And you're celebrating like you just did something, like you just won the championship. Stephen A., you think Bogdanovich is going to go 2 of 13 from 3 again?
He might.
By the way, that wasn't, look, this is an easy team to root for, this Knicks team. The players themselves, you got to love D. Rose. You got to love Randall. All these dudes. Bullock was great. You got, just quickly, all these guys, they're easy to root for. That wasn't Knicks defense in the second half. Come on, man. Atlanta was just missing wide open shots. Look at all these shots.
Because it wasn't Trae Young shooting them.
So let me tell you something. Bogdanovich is a sharpshooter. He couldn't buy a bucket. Wide open looks. You want to see the difference between the Hawks' shooting percentage in the first half and the second half?
Because of that defense. Because of that defense.
28% from the field instead of 46% from the field. Look at the assist to turnover. Because of the Knicks defense. Do we have some B-roll where I can show you some of the Knicks defense, supposed defense, that Stephen A. is referring to? The Hawks were just missing, Stephen A. They got a lot of good looks, a lot of them. Trust me, Bogdanovich is not going to 13 from downtown again in this series. I'm happy for the Knicks. I'm happy for you. Open look. Just tell me where you see a really difficult shot. Open, missed it. Just show me. Wide open, hits that shot all the time.
That's a misrepresentation.
Okay, wide open.
A lot of their shots were contested. That was a contested shot.
It was contested.
Shot just there by Gibson. Because there's been a lot of contested shots last night. They had some open looks, but a lot of them were contested.
Dude, just because someone's running like this with a hand up, he doesn't get there in time. That's not contested.
But that's the point. True. If somebody's running at
Although I saw you against Harden, too. Timeout. I saw you against Harden. You were in dress shoes and everything.
Shooting bricks.
I didn't play.
That's where you got the name Brick.
Like That's true. You know, that was a setup that, you know what, I happen to love James Harden. That's the only time I've ever disliked him. Since you're going to bring that up, Molly, I was in a shirt and tie, as you can see. Yeah. And I came there to do an interview with Harden when he was in Super Bowl, when the Super Bowl was in Houston for Super Bowl week. And Harden said, I'll be damned if I'm going to do an interview with you until you shoot these threes and you ain't warming up because you talk too much smack to be needing a warm up. Get out there and shoot from 3 right now. And obviously I was cold and it hurt me bad. So I shot 1 for 15. It was horrible.
I heard that's where they came up with the name Brick on the soap opera, Stephen A.
It might be. It might be.
Listen, it is unfair. He did get set up by Harden, but that's not the point.
I deserved it, though. I deserved it.
Those were not, even when they were contested, they weren't well contested. Dude, those were very makeable shots, and they missed an inordinate number of them in the second half. I didn't even feel like it was fatigue. The Knicks caught a break when Atlanta shooting went cold, or else you're down 0-2 heading to Atlanta.
You're ridiculous. I should sick baby Stephen A on you. I really should, because this is just ridiculous drivel that's coming out of your mouth. But I will tell you, I want to tell you another thing before we end this segment, because I want to put this on record right now.
Oh, please, because I got a juicy topic we got to get to.
I want to put it out on Front Street.
What?
You saw those fans outside last night. Off of one playoff win, their first playoff win in 8 years, as Max pointed out. You know what that showed me?
What?
That showed me how much of a mistake Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving made by choosing Brooklyn. Could you imagine, Max, if they were at the Garden? It'd be like that every night.
It's going to be like that by the end of this season.
No, that's fair,
these
Stephen A.
dudes would be off the charts.
First rational point you've made all morning.
It's going to be like that for the Nets.
Entire state.
All right.
In another series, everyone's going to have forgotten the Knicks. They're going to be gone, and the Nets are going to be steamrolling
All right,
the
we
league.
gotta
It's
go.
going to be like that.
We're gonna get into the Knicks later. Let's keep it rolling, because particularly bad last night during playoff games in New York and Philadelphia. A New York fan appeared to spit at Trae Young, the ultimate sign of disrespect, and a Philly fan dumped popcorn on an injured Russell Westbrook.
They want to come up, the guy went on the street and pour popcorn on my head. You know what happened? The guy want to come up to me, talking about my kids, family on the street, because it's supposed to be different. In these arenas, you got to start protecting the players, man. You know, we'll see what the NBA does.
All right. LeBron James echoing that sentiment, tweeting this. By the way, we as the players want to see who threw that popcorn on Russ. There's cameras everywhere. While he was leaving the game tonight with an injury, there are cameras all over arenas, so there's no excuse. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, hashtag protect our players. Stephen A.
Yeah.
How should the NBA respond to this?
They should come down incredibly harsh on that fan. They should ban him at least for the entire 2021-2022 season. That's a first offense. A second offense, he should be banned for life. We can't tolerate this. Russell Westbrook is absolutely right. LeBron James is 1,000% right, especially with the point that what if it were the other way around? What if the shoe was on the other foot? He's absolutely positively on the money. Let's call it what it is. Russell Westbrook, we're not condoning violence. We're not advocating it by any stretch of the imagination. But if Russell Westbrook had been able to get to that dude and put his hands on him, I'm sorry. Would he have not been justified? I think he would have been. Again, we're not advocating that because obviously, that brings a whole different connotation to the equation. But nevertheless, that's the point that we're talking to here. The fact that people feel that they can do anything they want. The primary reason they feel that way is because they don't have to worry about any repercussions, any ramifications for literally throwing something on another player, putting your, figuratively speaking, putting your hands on them, because that's essentially what you did by throwing something on him. You have no right to do that. You can boo all you want to, but you have no right to do that. We've seen these kind of actions before. We've seen the woman in Atlanta going after LeBron James. We've seen the older white individual sticking up both middle fingers at Russell Westbrook. At the New York Knicks game last night, I had no idea until this morning somebody actually spit over 50 Cent sitting courtside and spit on Trae Young. That is inexcusable.
Still in a pandemic. We're still in a pandemic.
Now that person should be arrested. That person right there should be arrested. Make no mistake about it. So the NBA definitely needs to come down heavily on them. But I think the media can also get involved in policing this kind of situation with this. Put the person's name on television. Put their face on television. Treat it like a mugshot. Put them on the Jumbotron at the game. Make sure you embarrass and humiliate and publicize who the hell they are. Shame them just like you would do a player. If a player did something like this, they'd be plastered all over the media. They'd be plastered all over television and the like. How come we can't do that to the fans that engage in such insidious behavior? Publicize them, humiliate them, embarrass them, shame them, and in some cases, arrest them and put them in jail.
Look,
I'm all for it.
Look, you keep talking about what the arena should do. Just because you buy a ticket to a sporting event doesn't mean as you enter the arena, you exit civilization. You still exist in civilization. And laws of civility, like rules and then actual laws of civility, are there for everybody. Now, Russell Westbrook is talking about what would happen in the street if he came up to him and dumped popcorn on him. Stephen A., I see that as no different than putting your hands on somebody. You can't violate somebody like that physically. Middle finger, to me, that's a gray area. I don't know. I have to think about that. But you physically assault someone, popcorn is light and everything, stop. But if he smacked that dude in the face, that wouldn't cause any permanent damage either, right? So Russell Westbrook's talking about what would happen in the street. But let me tell you what should happen in the street if we behave like adults. Get arrested. You can't because that's physically violating somebody. No, I forget about just like what the sporting or what the arena should do. Westbrook should press charges. There should be some kind of criminal consequence. Mike Tyson touched on this when he said what you alluded to, Stephen A., and he was talking about the media. You know why the media talks wild sometimes? Because no one gets punched in the mouth, right? And with social media, that involves just basically practically the whole world. But there are consequences like that, realistically, what's going to happen if you violate somebody. And then there's also what should happen. You spit on somebody, and you do it in public. There are cameras, as LeBron said. Put the cameras on them. Find out who it is. There should be a consequence. You dump something on someone's head, there should be a consequence for that, too. A ticket to an arena is not an exit from civilization. And by the way, those laws of civility are there to protect people who need them, right? In other words, the dude who dumps the popcorn, I'll bet you if Westbrook came at him, he'd be looking for someone to enforce the rules of civility then.
Let me get in here for a second, because the other thing that irks me is have a little class. The man is injured. He's playing his heart out. It's a playoff game, and you're dumping popcorn on him. And as far as arrest, if it's simple assault for throwing something at somebody once, so he should be arrested with the popcorn, and it's battery for spitting on someone. So they both should be arrested. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. Why is it always white guys to black men? It makes me uncomfortable, and I hate seeing it. And it's continuing to happen. When all these instances, when we're going back to white guys with black men, and it's just not okay.
Well, it's definitely not okay. And I think, what Max was alluding to and my man Champ just texted me about a few minutes ago, I'm going to modify my position just a touch. One and you're done. You should be banned from NBA arenas. I think that's what Max is saying. To some degree, listening to you, Molly, I think that's where you're coming from, outside of obviously being arrested. And the more I think about it, you know what? No second chance. Because, again, in a civilized society, we actually do know better already. And the fact that you're doing it is only because you think you can. Now, when Mike Tyson talks about, media people and, because they can't get punched in the face, I want to be clear. Mike Tyson is talking about people who calling you out your name and doing some of the things that they would never do. He's not talking about people critiquing his fight game and whether or not he'd lose to Lennox Lewis or Roy Jones or somebody. He's talking about that excessive stuff that people engage in outside of the ring, and he's absolutely right about that. And I think that these players, you got too many people that can be sensitive, and their definition of people coming at them is people criticizing their game, and that's ridiculous, which is something I'll get into later. But I will tell you that as it pertains to this particular instance,
Mike Tyson back then, Stephen A., who was, will even tell you now was, not stable back then, understood it okay. Most athletes get it, even if they don't like it, they're bitter about criticism or anything. They're not taking it to the next level. It's the fans who are doing it. The fans think it's okay to assault athletes.
It's not okay.
And Molly's point is a very interesting one.
Yeah. You see the optics, you see the visuals. Again, simple assault for throwing something, battery for spitting at someone. And I'm sorry, that is the ultimate sign of disrespect. Don't do that to anybody. Grow up. We'll leave it there. Still to come, Perk actually Predicted the Wizards would win last night. Yikes, he joins the show to face the music. You know, Stephen A. brings all those receipts. Can Carson Wentz return to the good Carson Wentz this season in Indy? Remember Pennsylvania, Max? The guys debate whether a bounce-back season is in store for the former Eagles QB. That is next. Particularly bad last night during playoff games in New York and Philadelphia. A New York fan appeared to spit at Trae Young, the ultimate sign of disrespect, and a Philly fan dumped popcorn on an injured Russell Westbrook.
They wouldn't come up. The guy went on the street and poured popcorn on my head. You know what happened? The guy wouldn't come up to me, talking about my kids, family on the street, because it'd be supposed to be different. In these arenas, you got to start protecting the players, man. You know, we'll see what the NBA does.
All right. LeBron James echoing that sentiment, tweeting this. By the way, we as the players want to see who threw that popcorn on Russ. There's cameras everywhere. While he was leaving the game tonight with an injury, there are cameras all over arenas, so there's no excuse. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, hashtag protect our players. Stephen A.
Yeah.
How should the NBA respond to this?
They should come down incredibly harsh on that fan. They should ban him at least for the entire 2021-2022 season. That's a first offense. A second offense, he should be banned for life. We can't tolerate this. Russell Westbrook is absolutely right. LeBron James is 1,000% right, especially with the point that what if it were the other way around? What if the shoe was on the other foot? He's absolutely positively on the money. Let's call it what it is. Russell Westbrook, we're not condoning violence. We're not advocating it by any stretch of the imagination. But if Russell Westbrook had been able to get to that dude and put his hands on him, I'm sorry. Would he have not been justified? I think he would have been. Again, we're not advocating that because obviously, that brings a whole different connotation to the equation. But nevertheless, that's the point that we're talking to here. The fact that people feel that they can do anything they want. The primary reason they feel that way is because they don't have to worry about any repercussions, any ramifications for literally throwing something on another player, putting your, figuratively speaking, putting your hands on them, because that's essentially what you did by throwing something on them. You have no right to do that. You can boo all you want to, but you have no right to do that. We've seen these kind of actions before. We've seen the woman in Atlanta going after LeBron James. We've seen the older white individual sticking up both middle fingers at Russell Westbrook. At the New York Knicks game last night, I had no idea until this morning somebody actually spit over 50 Cent sitting courtside and spit on Trae Young. That is inexcusable.
Still in a pandemic. We're still in a pandemic.
Now that person should be arrested. That person right there should be arrested. Make no mistake about it. So the NBA definitely needs to come down heavily on them. But I think the media can also get involved in policing this kind of situation with this. Put the person's name on television. Put their face on television. Treat it like a mugshot. Put them on the Jumbotron at the game. Make sure you embarrass and humiliate and publicize who the hell they are. Shame them just like you would do a player. If a player did something like this, they'd be plastered all over the media. They'd be plastered all over television and the like. How come we can't do that to the fans that engage in such insidious behavior? Publicize them, humiliate them, embarrass them, shame them, and in some cases, arrest them and put them in jail.
Look,
I'm all for it.
Look, you keep talking about what the arena should do. Just because you buy a ticket to a sporting event doesn't mean as you enter the arena, you exit civilization. You still exist in civilization. And laws of civility, like rules and then actual laws of civility, are there for everybody. Now, Russell Westbrook is talking about what would happen in the street if he came up to him and dumped popcorn on him. Stephen A., I see that as no different than putting your hands on somebody. You can't violate somebody like that physically. Middle finger, to me, that's a gray area. I don't know. I have to think about that. But you physically assault someone, popcorn is light and everything, stop. But if he smacked that dude in the face, that wouldn't cause any permanent damage either, right? So Russell Westbrook's talking about what would happen in the street. But let me tell you what should happen in the street if we behave like adults. Get arrested. You can't because that's physically violating somebody. No, I forget about just like what the sporting or what the arena should do. Westbrook should press charges. There should be some kind of criminal consequence. Mike Tyson touched on this when he said what you alluded to, Stephen A., and he was talking about the media. You know why the media talks wild sometimes? Because no one gets punched in the mouth, right? And with social media, that involves just basically practically the whole world. But there are consequences like that, realistically, what's going to happen if you violate somebody. And then there's also what should happen. You spit on somebody, and you do it in public. There are cameras, as LeBron said. Put the cameras on them. Find out who it is. There should be a consequence. You dump something on someone's head, there should be a consequence for that, too. A ticket to an arena is not an exit from civilization. And by the way, those laws of civility are there to protect people who need them, right? In other words, the dude who dumps the popcorn, I'll bet you if Westbrook came at him, he'd be looking for someone to enforce the rules of civility then.
Let me get in here for a second, because the other thing that irks me is have a little class. The man is injured. He's playing his heart out. It's a playoff game, and you're dumping popcorn on him. And as far as arrest, if it's simple assault for throwing something at somebody once, so he should be arrested with the popcorn, and it's battery for spitting on someone. So they both should be arrested. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. Why is it always white guys to black men? It makes me uncomfortable, and I hate seeing it. And it's continuing to happen. When all these instances, when we're going back to white guys with black men, and it's just not okay.
Well, it's definitely not okay. And I think, what Max was alluding to and my man Champ just texted me about a few minutes ago, I'm going to modify my position just a touch. One and you're done. You should be banned from NBA arenas. I think that's what Max is saying to some degree. Listening to you, Molly, I think that's where you're coming from, outside of obviously being arrested. And the more I think about it, you know what? No second chance. Because, again, in a civilized society, we actually do know better already. And the fact that you're doing it is only because you think you can. Now, when Mike Tyson talks about, media people and, because they can't get punched in the face, I want to be clear. Mike Tyson is talking about people who calling you out your name and doing some of the things that they would never do. He's not talking about people critiquing his fight game and whether or not he'd lose to Lennox Lewis or Roy Jones or somebody. He's talking about that excessive stuff that people engage in outside of the ring, and he's absolutely right about that. And I think that these players, you got too many people that can be sensitive, and their definition of people coming at them is people criticizing their game, and that's ridiculous, which is something I'll get into later. But I will tell you that as it pertains to this particular instance,
that way. Mike Tyson back then, Stephen A., who was, will even tell you now was, not stable back then, understood it okay. Most athletes get it, even if they don't like it, they're bitter about criticism or anything. They're not taking it to the next level. It's the fans who are doing it. The fans think it's okay to assault athletes.
It's not okay.
And Molly's point is a very interesting one.
Yeah. You see the optics, you see the visuals. Again, simple assault for throwing something, battery for spitting at someone. And I'm sorry, that is the ultimate sign of disrespect. Don't do that to anybody. Grow up. We'll leave it there. Still to come, Perk actually predicted the Wizards would win last night. Yikes, he joins the show to face the music. Stephen A. brings all those receipts. Can Carson Wentz return to the good Carson Wentz this season in Indy? Remember Pennsylvania, Max? The guys debate whether a bounce-back season is in store for the former Eagles QB. That is next. Reception for former Niners DC turned Jets head coach Robert Saleh.
I love it. He's earned it, number one, because he was an outstanding defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, and he's a new ray of hope for the New York Jets franchise. With him in town, you expect them to be significantly better than they are. Thank God we've gone beyond the Adam Gase era, so the city is rooting for him. He deserved those cheers.
All right, let's keep it rolling with the quick takes. Max, Jalen Smith changes his number to number 9. He spent $500,000 to buy up his old jerseys. Would you spend that much for a number change?
Hell no. Jalen, what are you doing? The money-making years, the prime years of an athlete is not that long, especially in the NFL. $500,000 post-tax dollars to change your number, which does not make a difference? Hell no.
Not going to be able to do it.
Hell no. Matter of fact, I would want I'd take 75 cents on the dollar back and give him back his old number.
All right, Stephen A., what do you think about NBA coaches no longer suited and booted since the bubble? They're just rocking the zip-ups and some solid dad bods.
It depends on the coach. With Pat Riley, Chuck Daly, Larry Brown, dudes like that, nothing less than an Armani or Tom Ford or Brioni suit will do. In the case of the Tom Thibodeaus of the world, the Andy Reids of the world, people like that, we'll go with the zip-ups. We understand.
I'm taking Tom Ford other than Tom Thibodeaus.
I like when a man dresses up. That's just me. All right, speaking of the NBA, carry on.
The Washington Wizards is going to win the game tonight because of Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. This dynamic backcourt. They have the confidence. They played them close in game 1. They see that they could beat them. I don't know if Tobias Harris could go for 37 again. I got the Washington Wizards winning this game tonight in good fashion. Carry on.
The Wizards are not winning tonight. They win game 3 or 4, but they ain't winning tonight. And so expect a text from me, if not a text, a tweet from me, Kendrick Perkins, this evening saying to you, what the hell you mean carry on? You carry on, because it ain't happening.
My grandpa always told me, when 2 men or 3 men disagree, the next word is bet, okay? Bet. And we'll talk about that later.
Hold on. I'll bet you on that, my brother. A matter of fact, remember how I told you I would take you to get some shirts because I need you with some new shirts? Remember I told you that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Are you ready for this?
Let me handle
I'll throw in a blazer.
Throwing in a blazer. Sorry, Perk. The Wizards didn't get the job done last night. A 25-point romping by the Sixers, who now take a 2-0 lead as the series heads to the nation's capital. And you thought Stephen A. was going to let that little bet slide? You were wrong, my friend, Perk. I did want you to win. I'd always root for you over Stephen A., but this guy always bringing the receipts. Tweeting this, like he promised, I believe I told you, Kendrick Perkins, that the Sixers would win tonight's game and that I've won that bet too. And as you would say, carry on. With a big smiley face, Stephen A. style, Cheshire grin. Keep in mind, Russ did tweak his ankle with 10 minutes to go. Perk, talk to me. What went wrong for the Wizards?
Well, Molly, first of all, I'm going to honor my bet. And you know what? And I'm going to buy him whatever he want to get for us suit-wise. When I get to New York, take me to wherever you go, and I'm going to be a man of my word. But look, here's the thing, right? Watching the game last night, it's just that the Wizards just don't have the personnel, okay? They just don't have the personnel to match up with the 76ers. The 76ers held them to 15 points in the fourth quarter, and that's the whole problem. And Ben Simmons, I don't know the last time he went for 20 plus. He had 22 last night. And by the way, let me say this. Where in the hell is Bertans, okay? Didn't they just pay this man 5-year, $80+ million, and he has one job, and that's to shoot the damn basketball. You know what he finished with last night? A goose egg, 0 points. He was non-existent. He got paid $80 million to have a goose egg. He has one damn job, and that's to shoot the damn basketball. And to be honest, I'm sitting up here watching, and I love Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. I love what they have done to get them to the playoffs. But I honestly don't see them winning the game because this Sixers team is really deep. Their subs, Maxey, he's a young stud and a rookie. Tybo's put on a defensive clinic last night. So I just don't know if they will even win a game in this series due to the lack of personnel. Now, let me say this to Stephen A. and Max. This also should tell y'all how good Russell Westbrook really is. Because looking at the personnel that's around him and what he had to do to win to get them to this point, I don't know no other player that could have won with this type of personnel. I mean, you got Bradley Beal, but that's about it.
Couple of things that I want to just get off my chest. Number one, you're absolutely right about Bertans. He was non-existent, a donut, a zero. I mean, my God, good Lord have mercy, that was bad. Number two, Thibault. He's going to make second team all defensive NBA. This dude's sensational. In 20 minutes, he did the things that he did on the defensive end of the floor in terms of steals and things of that nature. He is a special, special defensive player. Number three, I believe all the things that you pointed out, Kendrick Perkins, are things that I told you before you made that bet, and you still made it. So before I tell you what your pay up is going to be, because it's not going to be buying me something, I'm gonna let you keep your money in your pocket. I know you got a big time contract now. I know you big time, you know what I'm saying? Welcome to the family on a permanent long-term basis. It's well deserved. I'm honored and privileged to have you, big boy, no doubt about it. But I'm not gonna take money out your pocket. I got something better for you in terms of how you lost this bet. But before I get to that, let me address the whole Russell Westbrook thing. Russell Westbrook got hurt in the fourth quarter. He was shooting 2 for 10 at the time from the field. And I remember correctly, specifically stating, come playoff time, defenses get back, and the lack of a consistent perimeter shot will cost you. The dude is sensational. He's an incredible athlete. He's a Hall of Famer. We know what a difference maker he is. But you got to be able to make perimeter shots, because if you don't, it's going to be tougher for you to make the kind of difference he's capable of making, okay? That's respectfully stated. Now to the bet, Kendrick Perkins. I don't want your money, bro. I don't want you to take me to the clothing store, boy. Here's what I want you to do, Big Perk. Now that we've been all vaccinated and you're going to have people coming back to studio, when you come into our New York studios, you're going to spend that morning until that afternoon. You will do what I say. If I want breakfast, you're going to go get it. If I want a salad, you're going to go get it. If I got research paper down the hallway,
I go get him the suit.
You're going to go pick it up, okay? If I got words to express to some of the producers, you're going to run down the hallway to do it. You're going to run errands for me for that entire day. That's the bet, because you didn't ask me what my conditions were. I told you, and you wanted the jacket, but you didn't ask me. When you come to New York, if I want you to do something for Max, if I want you to do something for Molly, if I want you to run down the hallway for a producer, if I want my bagel, if I want my salad, if I want my turkey and cheese, you're gonna go get it. Big Perk. That's the bet you lost. Carry on.
The whole story of the game last night, other than the real story, was your bet. But the other story is the Sixers' defense, y'all. Like, I've been talking about Thibault every time the Sixers come up, because I think Simmons probably the best defender in the league. I think Embiid is top 5. Thibault's already top 10. He's 18 months away from being the best defensive player in basketball. You know, last night, 4 steals and 5 blocks, or 5 steals and 4 blocks. He's one of only 10 players to do it in the history of basketball. And the other dudes are like Hakeem and Pippen and Kawhi and Draymond and Ben Wallace. He did it in 20 minutes. But look at this sequence. There's a sequence from late in the third quarter, a shot clock violation. The Sixers' defense is next level. Their offense is pretty good and could be better, right? Like, they have the potential to be better offensively than they are. But the defense, think of what I just said. Ben Simmons, I think he's number 1 defensive player in the league. Embiid, top 5. Thibault, top 10, and probably the most special dude on defense. Danny Green can still defend. Tobias Harris had his best defensive season because he's got Embiid back there as an eraser. The Sixers' defense is special.
Max,
and that side of the bracket, they're going to be in the conference finals.
Thibault, I read it somewhere last night. Thibault is the first player in NBA history with 4 steals and 5 blocks in 20 or fewer minutes of any game, regular season or postseason, in NBA history.
Hey, Perk, real quick, before you jump in here, and I'll give you the last word here on the bet, I just want to say one thing. I will, Stephen A., this is also for you. I will offer my services. I have my phone right here, and I will film Perk is your errand boy and follow him around the entire day. And I will stream it from First Take Instagram Live. So I'm available to do that. I did go to school, and I will be the camera woman. I want to do that for you, Stephen A.
Perk, buy him the suit, Perk. It's better.
Perk, I will be with you, okay? Just call me your shadow.
Yeah, and you know what? You know what? As much as I hate to do this, I have to honor the bet. And the problem is, the last time I ran errands was in 2004 when I was ironing Gary Payton's clothes for his Dickie suits. And now I got to be here, 36 years old, married with 4 kids, running around New York City, running errands for Stephen A., Molly, and Max. I'll be damned.
It's going to be great. And I'm going to be your +1 camera
It's
woman.
all in the area.
We're going to capture
It's all in
it
the
all.
3-block radius. Everything's in the 3-block radius.
All right, we'll leave it right there, guys. Frick will be back in a minute. Are things perhaps fishy in Foxborough? The story that is all eyes on the Patriots dynasty. Big names, big scandal, big revelations, and the big man, Damian Woody, joins us to break it all down. And what more can John Morant do? We'll ask Perk that very question, as his prediction is now very much
phenomenal. I just didn't have, the comfortability of checking plays, alerting plays, and doing that. I just rode with the play, even if I knew it in a way that it wasn't going to work. I was going to try to make it work. I didn't actually know the playbook necessarily really, really good. And that's on no one else's fault, but my fault. And our play calls were simple when I was in, I didn't have alerts and checks. Whereas now, feeling more comfortable, I can kind of maneuver my way, through these things now.
All right, Stephen A., we know the game always slows down with reps. Thoughts on Tua admitting he didn't really know the playbook?
Well, I applaud him for manning up and acknowledging his faux pas there. He was accepting responsibility for it. It wasn't the coach, it wasn't the general manager, it wasn't the coaching staff, it was him. This guy is a winner. We know what he did at Alabama. We know how hard it is to do for Nick Saban, because preparation is this man's signature. The one thing you are not going to be playing for Nick Saban is to be unprepared. That's just not something that we hear of. And so for Tua to acknowledge that, I give him a lot of credit for it. And I think that the future's bright for him. He still completed 64% of his passes last year through 11 touchdowns. I think he's got a lot of promise.
Max, retired quarterback Alex Smith says the treatment of Aaron Rodgers by the Packers, it's inexcusable. What do you make of Smith speaking out on this in his situation with Patrick Mahomes?
Well, look, I think it's pretty obvious that players are coming out and saying, who would know, are saying this is not right. Alex Smith, don't forget, first overall pick in the same draft. Rodgers was taken 24th. That was seen as a big mistake. And Alex Smith has experience with success on various teams. He's been around the league. He was a good quarterback. He's seen the highs, the lows, the ins, and the outs. He knows this stuff, and he looks at Aaron Rodgers and thinks, that's no good, and that jives with what most people think.
Stephen A., the Senior Bowl and the NFL will hold a pre-draft combine for the top prospects from HBCUs next January. Your thoughts, sir?
I'm incredibly excited about it, and in the interest of full disclosure, I've decided to become a member of the advisory board of the HBCU Scouting Combine, so I'm on that advisory board for HBCUs as well. You've got guys like the general manager, Chris Ballard in Indy. You got Spielman in Minnesota. You got Shannon Sharp, Steve Weiss for the NFL Network, Primetime Deion Sanders, and others. So this is a very, very, very big deal, and I think that it's going to help HBCU athletes get attention. I'm loving it.
And First Take's going to cover a lot of it. It was a career performance for John Morant last night. 47.7 assists, but just wasn't enough to take down the Jazz with Donovan Mitchell back in the lineup. I told you he'd have fresh legs. Series tied at 1-1. Let's welcome back our resident Grizzlies defender, Kendrick Perkins. Max, what more does Ja have to do?
Turn water into wine? I mean, what more? 21 years old. He just dropped 47 points in 43 minutes. By the way, let me tell you something about John Morant. Everyone's talking about Jason Tatum, and I've said Jason Tatum maybe one day could be the number one option offensively on a championship team. I think I would take John Morant over Jason Tatum going forward. John Morant is the next level of athlete right? He has that Westbrook aggressiveness with explosive athleticism. He's looking for his teammates. He's looking to score. He had such a pretty assist at one point. It was late in the third quarter, dribbled behind his back. I forgot who he dumped it off to. It was a thing of beauty. Look, Donovan Mitchell, you said it, Molly. We both thought he'd have a big game. He did. He was almost as good minute for minute, 25 points in like 26 minutes, whatever it was. But Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Jamal Murray, now Ja Morant, Luka Doncic, these young dudes, like 22 years old and young, they're coming. They're ready. Like, they step up in their first playoff performances, and it's jaw-dropping. Ja Morant is joining that group right now.
He is joining that group. He is the truth. It's just that simple. When you show up in big moments, you respond to the challenge. That's what makes you who you are when you are a star in this league. And I think that we all see that from Ja Morant. I'm not sure I'm ready to go as far as saying I'd pick him ahead of Jason Tatum because you can't teach 6'9" with that wingspan and that marksmanship from the perimeter that Jason Tatum has at his disposal. But I absolutely love Ja Morant. He's a special, special talent. He's a special player. But even with all of that said, there isn't a damn thing that the Grizzlies can do other than pray for divine intervention. I don't care that the series is tied 1-1. They are different than animal when Donovan Mitchell is on the floor. And to watch these guys shoot the basketball from the perimeter, I'm getting very concerned. I'm getting very, very worried. Because we all know that my social life matters to me to some degree. And I would prefer to be in LA or Phoenix for the finals. We all know there's a strong possibility we could end up in Utah. We could end up in Salt Lake City because this team is something else. They've got size, they've got defense, they've got perimeter shooting, and they have a star who can close in Donovan Mitchell. And so to me, when I look at Memphis, they are coming. They are a team to be reckoned with. We have to respect them. They've got a very, very bright future ahead of them, but it's not right now. Donovan Mitchell is back, and as long as he is back, Utah will close out this series no matter what Ja Morant does.
Well, I respectfully disagree with you, Stephen A. When you look at Ja Morant and just look at his history, not getting recruited that heavily coming out of high school, going to a mid-major school at Murray State, and look, no one knew about him until he took that school to the tournament, and he shined when the lights hit the ice. And when he got to Memphis, no one expected them to even be good. They thought that they would be in the lottery again. What did this dude do last year? He had them in the 8th seed. He had them in the play-in tournament. Even in the play-in tournament against the Portland Trail Blazers, he shined bright. They just he didn't have enough to get over the hump. But when you talk about this year and talk about the test that he had to go through to get to this point, he's done what he needed to do, and so has the Memphis Grizzlies. They went down to Utah, and they tied it up. And I get it. They didn't have Donovan Mitchell. But guess what? They got to come back to the grindhouse. And as a person that's been there and had to play out there in Memphis at the FedEx Center and the grindhouse when they're playing that song from whatever it is, whoop that whatever, and it gets a rocking up in there, and them fans get the bumping and talking noise, and those role players get the feeding off of that energy, it's going to be another different story for the Utah Jazz. By the way, I'm just saying, before the foul count got even, because the officials know what they be doing throughout the course of the game, they called some crazy fouls on Dylan Brooks, had him sitting down. They called some ridiculous fouls on Valanciunas where Rudy Gobert hit him in the face, and all of a sudden when he hit Rudy Gobert in the face by accident, he get a technical foul.
That was a weak call.
And you know what else showed me? You know what else showed me that this Memphis Grizzlies team is about that action? They were down 20 at half, and they came back and they got there within single digits. I believe it was 3 points. And I said, you know what? They had ultimate confidence. They got the ultimate confidence. And when they get home back to Memphis, it's going to be a different story. So it's on Utah. And I'm ready to see how Donovan Mitchell is going to respond after playing on that ankle, how is that ankle going to feel with the traveling and everything?
How'd he look in game one? Hold on, long time off. You were saying how'd he look? How did Donovan Mitchell look first game back?
I get that, Max. You said the same thing about Kevin Durant. Okay, he proved me wrong. He came out and he looked good. I get that, right? He's a superior star. He is. But what I'm trying to tell you is the flights matter, okay? Because they talk about flying and how things could inflate it, being in the air and all that. And then when they get back to that grindhouse, y'all don't understand the grindhouse with Tony Allen and Big Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol and Mike Conley built the brick.
I've covered a few games there.
Tough environment to play in. I still got winning this series.
I've covered a few games there. It is a special place to play basketball when they are hyped about their team. Make no mistake about it. But let me tell you something. My position is predicated on the health of Donovan Mitchell. If Donovan Mitchell is healthy, there's nothing to talk about here. Utah's not losing this series.
I'm so happy to just see him back on the court.
Ja is amazing.
All right, Big Perk, you just get your gym shoes out, laced up, the comfortable ones for the errands. I'll be ready for you. I got the camera. I'll get a tripod actually, so I get your good angles.
Yeah, but I'm saying I expect that out of them too, but I didn't expect that from you today. I expect that type of stuff.
Oh, Molly could slide him in now. Molly could slide him in.
Yeah.
She'll slide him in if you're not expecting it. You know what I'm saying? She'll slide in some shots, no question. But it's all right. It's okay.
Molly's got jokes.
Can I have a little fun? All right, Perk, we'll talk to you in a minute. All right, when we come back here, Entourage fans, Knicks fans, what a treat we have for you coming up. Jerry Ferrara joins the show. It's going to be a love fest with him and Stephen A. Oh, help me. And Max's breaking news into First Take. What we were discussing earlier, the issue where popcorn was dumped on Russell Westbrook. We saw that, and a fan spit on Trae Young. Well, the 76ers organization has released a statement announcing that the fan who threw the popcorn on Westbrook has had his season ticket membership revoked. He's banned from future events. They also issued an apology to Westbrook and the Wizards. Stephen A., I'll start with you. Your reaction.
His apology means nothing. He's old enough to know better. I'm glad he was banned. He's lucky he's not arrested. And again, the message needs to be sent. And we need to plaster his face up on the screen where, just like anybody else, if this were an athlete, we'd put him front and center. How come we can't put the fans front and center when they act like this? You got to shame them into knowing how to act better.
I don't think did the fan offer an apology, Molly? It was Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, right. It would be better if the fan at least did.
Yeah.
I'm not into the shaming thing as much. I think there's people use shame too often, and I don't like it.
I would say that fans.
Right, I hear what you're saying. What I mean is that I think he should be prosecuted. I like the fact that his season tickets are revoked and he's suspended indefinitely. And, I think that's the right way to handle this sort of thing. You can, even when people talk about flipping athletes off, again, to me, what are you going to really do? But when you violate someone physically, it's popcorn, whatever. No. You've taken in the street, you have taken that decision out of your own hands. How they retaliate is really not up to you anymore, but we have laws governing that kind of behavior, and there should be some kind of a punishment for physically assaulting someone, even if it is with popcorn.
Yeah, it's simple assault, do better, and level up, have some respect. We'll move on to a happier subject, though. The Knicks are back, baby, defeating the Hawks by 9 last night to tie up the series at 1 apiece before heading to ATL. We certainly had a lot of Knicks gloating in the show this morning, but let's do some more. We bring in our friend, actor, Knicks lifer, Jerry Ferrara, joining us right now. Jerry, how we doing? Thank you so much for being with us. First of all, congratulations on the new baby. But I know this pales in comparison, but how excited are you about this win?
Oh, it's a great day. I'm happy to join the Knicks party that you guys got going on. And what a charmed life for my new son. The Knicks get the 4 seed and they're tied up in a playoff series. What a great life he's had so far.
We here, Jerry. We here. I appreciate you being on the show, my man. It's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. I mean, can you put into perspective, you know, for folks out there that don't understand, I know it's just a playoff win, but it's their first in 8 years. Could you put into perspective what the New York Knicks fan has had to endure and why this moment right now is so special to us?
Yeah, I mean, the easy way to put it is, what were the expectations even coming into this season, right? We were trying to maybe position ourselves for the lottery again, or do we want to maybe go after this play-in game? The 4 seed was something unimaginable. And then, you know, getting that playoff win, which we've been chasing for 8 years, and even 8 years ago, that was a lot of fun. This team is different. And I've been to Knicks games in March when they have 19 wins and they're, you know, the fans are still cheering like it means something. So you saw it last night. You know, the players felt it. Everyone felt it. There's nothing like this in basketball. I'm sorry.
Do you hear this? This is the problem. The Knicks have systematically lowered everyone's expectations to where, Jerry, you have to come on and say, look, what were the expectations before the season? My son's going to lead a charmed life because they're a 4 seed and won a playoff game? Jerry, I moved to L.A. You know what it's like to be a Lakers fan? Oh, it's so good. If a Lakers fan ever woke up and found out that they were a 4 seed and split in the first series and they were celebrating that, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Like, look. You want to talk about Knicks suffering? I'm 47 years old.
Yeah,
I haven't won a championship in my lifetime, Stephen A., Jerry. I'm 47. They traded Nene and Marcus Camby for the remains of Antonio McDyess. They traded Patrick Ewing for the remains of Glenn Rice and cap problems. They never went after our test in the draft. There are things, there's a list a mile long why they haven't won a championship. And you guys sit here with this enabling Jim Dolan behavior. You're going to root for the Knicks no matter what and celebrate like it's your birthday because they got a split at home against the lower seed? That's a reason to celebrate.
I feel like you're making my point. I feel like you're making my point for me, Max. That is exactly why you root for the team when you don't jump off the bandwagon when they have 19 wins in April and when they won a playoff game. Now we can all cheer. No. I was there. I have suffered through it. I earned this moment. And I know it's only one playoff win. I'm not trying to say our expectations were so... What moment? Did you see the game last night? Did you watch what went on? Okay.
You got to split at home against the lower seed.
Oh, that's it. Ho-hum. I mean, you're talking
because
about
Bogdanovich went 2 for 13 from 3. Ain't going to happen again.
And what did he do in game 1 with hands in his face, hitting corner threes with 2 hands in his face? That's not going to happen again. Randall's not going to go 2 for 17 again. That's not going to happen again. And the Lakers, you want to talk about what the Lakers' expectations? Okay, they were a play-in team this year. They had injuries. Stuff happens, okay? We are a 4 seed hosting playoff games. Not one analyst, not one member of the media, no one would have said that before the season. We have not seen the Knicks play. If you remember, when COVID happened, they had this long break. And what did they do? Everyone got ready to play when the time came again. They could have sat back. They found ways to get back in shape. We hadn't seen them since March. We've won games like last night all year long. That's why I was not panicking. No one should be surprised.
Okay.
Knicks have won games like that all year long.
Can I ask a question to all of you?
Molly, real quick. It's like they're in jail and the jailer comes and gives them a crumb and they're so happy for the crumb. Oh, thank you. Thank you for this little crumb. After 8 years, we got a crumb. Thank you so much.
Hold on, Max. Wait. So being 1-1 as a 4 seed in the playoff series with great young talent, all our draft picks, which we didn't have in years past, and the Mavericks' first-round picks, that's not something to be pretty darn excited about?
I think this is a good time.
We should just be like, oh, we're doing our job.
I think this is a good time for Knicks fans. They finally got it right. Kind of, I guess. We'll see what happens to them. In a couple of weeks, no one's going to be thinking about the Knicks. The Nets are going to be destroying the league.
Can I please ask a question? And I'd like to take this to the streets, to Twitter, to Instagram, to everybody. What's more pathetic? Jerry and Stephen A. being overly excited about splitting a first-round series here, or Max moving to L.A. and jumping on the bandwagon of the Lakers fans when he tries to claim he's a diehard New Yorker, what is actually more pathetic? Bandwagon Max or the over-celebration by Jerry and Stephen A?
Well,
That's what I would like people at home to answer.
First of all, that's an easy answer. The answer would be is that Max is pathetic. Because if you're going to sit up there and trade and be the trader that you are and transition your fandom to another franchise, at least have the decency to make sure people actually care. Nobody cares about Max Kellerman being a Lakers fan because the Lakers were winning championships in the double digits and they had established how the greatness of their franchise in the purple and gold long before Max even made a flight to L.A. So that's just attaching himself to an insignificant element. That's number one. Number two, and more importantly, here's the bottom line, Jerry. When we're looking at the New York Knicks right here, let's understand something, okay? This particular series right here, all they got to do is win this series. And not only does it elevate them in our eyes, but it also puts more pressure on the Brooklyn Nets to win it all because that's the only thing that will keep them relevant in the city, even though they got KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. If they don't win the championship in Brooklyn, everybody this offseason will be talking about the New York Knicks. Think about that.
By the way, I am a trader, not a traitor, a trader. I traded in a losing franchise for
Can we hear from Jerry, please?
We've
heard enough from you.
For the Lakers.
So you can't claim New York love, though.
Sure, I
like
can.
You
I'm a Yankee
don't
fan,
rep
a Giants
New York.
fan. Look, before
you
I
should
decided
become a Cowboys fan.
Before I
it's all
decided
bandwagon
to take
teams.
the ESPN afternoon drive slot in LA, I had to consider, could I trade in my Knicks for the Lakers? I thought about it for 24 hours. I said, what am I kidding? See you later, Knicks. All they've ever given me is misery.
And now there's no coming back, Max. Congratulations. You did it. There's no coming back. And if you don't think being down 1-0 and down 12 points with 4 minutes to go in the third and coming back and winning that game, and you think we're overreacting as a sports fan? Down 1-0, down 12 with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, and we come roaring back and we're overreacting? No. You can't fight it. You know what's happening. You're trying to fight it, but
Where
you know
are you
what's
from, Jerry?
happening.
Jerry, you live in Brooklyn, right?
Brooklyn
Nets.
Brooklyn.
That's the New York team.
Yes.
Brooklyn Nets is the New York team. The Brooklyn Nets is the New York team.
New Jersey Nets.
They were
KD and
Brooklyn
Kyrie
now.
should have chose the Knicks.
Brooklyn Nets.
That's what I should have asked Jerry. Listen, Jerry, all I know, you're a new parent and you were quite the father too. Was it Elisa? Was that her name on Power? You had custody over her. You were an exceptional father to her on the show. So you know what that tells me? In real life, you are just going to be even better to your baby boy. Her name was Elisa, right? I know some kind of Italian name. Yeah, you were a great dad. You had the drug-addicted wife. It was very tough for you. I know you're in a better situation
You
now.
realize he's not the actual character, right, Molly? He's just an actor.
Yeah, I
Thank
do.
you, Max.
Making it seem real to you.
I do. But I know that heart. All right, Max?
You know, it's pretend, right? They're
Oh, my
pretending.
God. Can I just have my moment?
He's a good actor. That's right.
Entourage and Power are two of my favorite shows ever. Can I just enjoy it for a second? Do you have to ruin everything? Thanks. Bye, Jerry. Thank you.
Congratulations,
Bye, guys.
Jerry.
All right, Jerry.
Thank you.
A debate you will absolutely not want to miss. Stephen A. attempts to stand up for Knicks fans as we debate who's the more annoying fan base. Stay tuned for that.